Hi everybody, welcome to this video for the sort of meanings and imagery for the 78 tarot cards in the Rider-Waite traditional tarot deck. Now, these meanings, they're not so necessarily specifically the traditional meanings of tarot. They are some things that I'm picking up. I've been doing tarot for I don't even know how long, more than 20 years, done many readings, many coaching sessions. So these are just things that people are missing sometimes, things that can be to your benefit, things that can enhance your reading. So this is for somebody who'd like to learn to read the tarot, or maybe you're just intrigued by the tarot. If you want to learn tarot, like the traditional meanings, I've got a beautiful step-by-step Rider-Waite tarot reading course. I've also got an advanced course where you go a little bit deeper, and you see why does the card mean whatever it means. But that is the second one. The advanced course is one that you should only really take if you're very familiar with tarot. There's even like a 40-day step-by-step course where you kind of like learn the formulas. So if you are not so you're struggling to get like the meanings and stuff like that, then that one is beautiful because it teaches you the formulas. But this is just a walk through all the 78 cards of the tarot deck, things that I've picked up through the 20 plus years of reading the tarot. I've created a beautiful tarot deck, Breath of Life Tarot Oracles. I'm busy with another one. But so for now, this is just you being here. So welcome. My name is Adrian Nelson. I'm a psychic tarot reader, life transformation guide, and I just want to go through these cards for you. Just before we do, I really welcome your opinions, but let's be nice to everybody else. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. All right. So the major arcana. So the first card we've got here is the Fool. All right. So the Fool, beautiful new beginnings. I quite, something to really look at is almost like these red little parts here inside the sleeve, which is also a reminder that the Fool has done this journey of life before. And this is also a reminder to somebody in a reading that you have been on this planet before. You have lived this life before. It is not your first time here. Just because you can't consciously remember it doesn't mean that you are a complete loss. Life is supporting you, and you can even see that this Fool is not carrying a lot of food, and in the other hand even carrying a flower, because it's almost like this knowing, this trust, this reminder, like whatever you need, it's going to be provided for, so you don't have to be so stressed about it. All right. Then we have the Magician. Normally a lot of yellow like this in tarot, a lot of gold or mustard like that. It all speaks about abundance. These little flowers in the front are speaking about abundance. This table, it's actually a square table in the original drawing, because obviously these have been redone many times and reprinted. So it's actually a square table with 3 legs. It's almost like an optical illusion. You don't really see it unless you see it. Unless it's pointed out to you, but it speaks about the balance in life, and it speaks about you already know how to balance life. And what is also quite interesting is that around the waist here of the Magician is like a snake, like a serpent basically. And a snake, when you think about a snake, when they know they have to shed their skin to grow larger, so the shield, the skin that they have has grown to capacity. They prepare for it. They don't fight it. They get sufficient water. They get a place where they can rest, a place where they will be safe, because the energy will be a little bit low, where they can let go of the old and let in the new. So the Magician, yes, it's all about, sort of like all the potential that you have, all the sort of like swords, ace, pentacles, and what is it, cups that is there on the table, all the potential. But the Magician also came in with sort of like a purpose, all right, with a soul contract. And it's almost like your soul already knows the way. All right. Then we've got the High Priestess. The High Priestess is quite interesting. I think the High Priestess is one of the cards that volumes and volumes have been written about. I don't know. I think I know. But anyway, and also tell me, where in the world are you? Are you interested in tarot? Have you done tarot before? Would you like to keep on doing it? I'm just sharing here with you some basic things that I've picked up, things that people sometimes miss that I can think is to your benefit. So even if you have studied my course, a different course, or you wanna, these are some additional things that will help you. All right. So the High Priestess here has also got like these moons in the middle. So, the cycles of the moon, new moon, full moon, dead moon, new moon again, lots of emotions, lots of flow, like the different things in life that is possible. Already there's a soul contract that is drawn up. So the High Priestess is also speaking about the fact that there is a natural cycle to life. It is encouraging you to not get too drawn into whatever it is that's happening at the moment. Also, something to remember is that whatever we attach to limits us. Whatever you attach to limits you. So whether it's something bad from the past, or a lot of times, people will say like, it was so good back then, I wish I could be back there again. That is you wishing to be at a different time than now, because you might think that going forward in the future is not going to be so good. So what cycle are you in now? Let's look at that, let's unpack it, but let's not get too into it. Okay. These are all just guidance things that I get, that I picked up through the years of doing readings that you can share with your clients, or as you practice. And then the Empress is a Venus energy. Venus is all about abundance. It's all about beauty. But it's also a sign that can't be rushed. It can't be hurried. All right. If you, for example, think of a Taurus, that is a sign that is ruled by the planet Venus. They like beautiful things. They like to take their time. They've got all the stars of Venus there above them, and also the cloak that this character is wearing. This cloak is actually meant to seem heavy. It says luxury. It is not being rushed. Remember back in the day when tarot would come out, if you were able to wear heavy garments, you had coin. Okay, there's the sort of wheat that's growing in the front that is showing about abundance. Remember, wheat, you can have food, you can have bread, all of that sort of thing. So abundance is all around you. And then there's a little bit of a river that flows there, which also speaks about things working out for you behind the scenes. All right, that you can relax and that you can trust that this source of life has got your back. You don't have to try so hard to make everything happen yourself. Okay. And I am very intrigued by even your interpretations of the cards. Remember, these are not the sort of like more agreed upon traditions or meanings of the cards, even though there's thousands, if not millions. These are more the things that I get from, teaching tarot and learning tarot and reading books and, speaking to people and doing readings and intuition. Trust your intuition, very important. And then we've got the Emperor energy. And the Emperor, as you can see around the Emperor, it's very red, whereas before, when we looked at sort of like the Fool and, the Magician and, with the Empress a little bit obscured, but then with the, with the High Priestess, sorry, a bit obscured, with the Empress is coming in again. Everything nice, everything flowing, and then the Emperor comes in here, and this is where with the white beard is maybe the ancient knowledge, with the Ankh in the hand, it's about new birth, new beginning, rebirth, the continual flow of life. Everything is an ending and a beginning. These four sort of animal heads here are indicative of the idea that you are supported by the elements of life, by all of life. You are not alone in this world. But things might be a bit stressful around you. And again, with this energy, the Emperor, which is Aries energy, it's saying to you that you might have different ideas to what other people have. You might be seeing the world in a different way. Just because everybody does it that way doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. Or you have to see it that way. Or you have to reason that way. Okay? So you can be aware of the fears that are happening around you, but you don't have to buy so into it. But in the same token, don't be an idiot. This character here is ready to fight, is ready, his armor is ready to be protected. So, it's almost like the thing that I like to say to people, be careful that you become so spiritual that in itself becomes ego. They're like, oh, I'm so enlightened. You are allowed to be afraid. Acknowledge your, what feels unstable, what feels inconsistent, what you don't like, what trips you up, because those are opportunities for you to heal. But, we buy into this whole culture that you're always supposed to be this happy chappy all the time, which is not realistic. You can be at peace all the time. I get very upset and overwhelmed and whatever in my life, and sometimes I can be a little bit spicy, but I still have eternal peace inside of me. The way to usually get, step out of peace is if we, I hear people say so much in sessions. They come to me like, healing sessions, readings and stuff like that. I shouldn't feel this way. I've got so much. Yes, but, also let's not compare ourselves to other people. All right, this is your life. Okay. And then the Hierophant or the Hierophant. This is quite a beautiful energy. This really encompasses the energy of 3, which is the energy of creation. So if you look at sort of like creation, you get one part and another part, you put it together, you get something new, which is an extension of the original. You know, so if you, for example, take like mommy and daddy and you bring them together, they release parts of themselves which connect and form something new. But it's an expansion of who they are. So the Hierophant is speaking about that. It is speaking about going to that next level. It is cautioning against overthinking. You know, the two little feet over there has got little crosses on it, which obviously would recommend that source has got you. You are not alone. You know, and this character is blessing these two people in front of them. So this could be a space that it's time to move on. You know, what are you holding on to? This is the, it's almost like the ways in which we sabotage ourselves. It's the things that we hold on to. You know, a lot of times because we know what we know, we will stay with that. And then we stay in that fear. So the, you know, in a reading, when I pull the Hierophant, now it obviously, you know, you look at all the cards because they all form a story together. You know, it's like the ABCs, but 3 times the amount of the English alphabet. And if you think about it, you can say everything in the English alphabet with the words, with the letters of the alphabet. So if you have 78 tarot cards, which is 3 times that amount, you can get more. So rely upon your intuition. And, you know, it's like a friend of mine yesterday said to me, she knows that this move is the right thing that she's supposed to do. So she's still afraid, she's still uncertain, she doesn't have the answers, but she knows that she's supposed to follow this path. You know, and sometimes with the Hierophant is that we know, but we hold on. Okay, so you ask your client, what are you holding on to? What are you afraid of? All right. Now I'm going to cover this up because there's a little bit of a PG vibe going on here, but the Lover's energy, I'm trying to pull my finger away. Let's put it behind the card. Okay. The Lover's energy was initially called choice. So there's these two characters that are, you know, sort of like naked. But it also exposes sort of like the honesty of who you are, you know, and there's the angel above them, but it's almost like, you know, sometimes people in life, they've got this thing that they hold on to what they know is safety. They hold on to it and they don't want to let go of it. And so sometimes we block our own light, our own sun, our own opportunities in life. The Lovers was initially called choice, which means you always have a choice. There's always something different that you can do. You are stuck in your mind, but not necessarily in your life. Your life reflects what's happening in your mind. Okay? Sometimes there's a fear. You want to play humble pie, you know. I'm going to see if I can cover it up like this. So you see there's even like that mountain in the middle, that red mountain. What is dividing us? Okay? What is it? How are you using words to almost justify doing what you full well know is not to your benefit? Oh no, it's, you know, it's better, let me just do this again, better the devil that I know. You know, oh, I don't want to upset my neighbors, or like, you know, maybe I'll do it when my family's passed and all that sort of things. Okay, not meaning that you shouldn't have respect, but just sort of indicating that sometimes we believe that we don't have a choice because we might be afraid to go to that next move. So I would ask my client straight out, what are you scared of? What is going on here? Okay. Remember, all the cards together in a reading form a pattern. Then you've got the Chariot. The Chariot is an energy of moving forward. Okay. So you can see that this Chariot has left behind sort of like these city walls. And this Chariot is following his path. All right. There's the 2 sphinxes over here, which sort of represent the mystery of the universe. You know, the diversity of the universe, the polarities, the good, the bad, the possibilities, you know. But this character is well sort of suited up. You know, he's got like his armor on, and there's some writing over there, which I think is representing sort of like ancient sort of hieroglyphs and stuff. You know, this dude has got some stars going on over there. This dude is ready for next. He's got his scepter or wand there in his hand, and you'll see when we do the wands, that wands is about your passion, it's about your fire, it's about your drive. All right. So the Chariot energy is one of those energies that says, you know what, best keep on focusing forward. All right. I remember in an interview, one of my favorite artists of all time, Sarah Brightman, said that, sorry, before a concert, you might get very nervous and stuff like that, but the focus is always forward towards the performance. Okay. So in life, what is your focus towards? Also with the Chariot, it's very fast manifestation. So be sure that your mindset is rigged in your favor and not to your benefit. You know, when we keep on thinking what can go wrong, we keep on looking out for what can go wrong. And when you look for problems, you will find problems. Okay. Strength energy, Leo energy. This is the energy of taming your inner fears, you know, dark night of the soul, inner child healing, things that are holding you back. But this card is a reminder that, you know, there might be something very, very deep and very sensitive and something that you might be very resistant to for you to heal. But, you know, as you can see, this character, she's got her hands inside of this lion's mouth, you know, and I mean, this lion could be sick, his blood red is infused, so we don't really know. But this is an energy that says, you know, whatever your fears are, you are able to resolve them, you are able to walk through them. So I would ask my client, what are you afraid of? Where are you not being gentle with yourself? Where are you being unkind with yourself? Let's look at this gently. What if we imagine this was somebody else's life? All right, and then I just wanted to show you also, so when you look at the magician, you see that infinity sign there above the magician's head. But this magician is very confident. You know, it's like, you know, I got it. I know what I'm doing. And so sometimes in life, when we move forward and you start having what I call success problems, in other words, as you merge towards what you want in life, things are going to come up inevitably that are, you know, either traumas that you picked up in this lifetime, your ego, your fears trying to warn you. Maybe you inherited from your family through epigenetics. So what is the fear that is coming up? And the strength card is saying to you that this fear doesn't have to rule your life. Okay, you can be aware of it. It can be a building block, or it can be the thing that's holding you back. You decide. All right, you have a choice here. And then we have the hermit energy. Now, everything about the hermit energy is all about wisdom. A nice gentle cloak, you know, a nice beard, which is all about wisdom. He's holding his staff very firmly. He's in control of his emotions. His inner light is shining out with this lamp, or, you know, this light. He's very demure, he's very calm. But the saying is also believed that this hermit is on the mountaintop and it is snowing and he can't move, almost like being stuck in the snow. But I mean, he can lift his legs, he can use that staff to like joop, 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 you know, to hit the snow. He can drop that lamp, it can melt the snow. But this is their space in life. You know, a lot of times in life, we say that I don't care about life, I'm done with life, I'm just going to go live on a mountaintop, on an island, by a lake, by a river, whatever your version of that is. But that story typically doesn't derive from peace and calm. It's usually when you're not that happy, all right? And so sometimes we think it's easier to withhold ourselves from life, to not feel our feelings, to not get involved, to not go there, you know. And I'm not saying that you should force yourself. Obviously, you know, we're going to speak about this in a reading, because a reading to me often is almost like a consultation when I have a back and forth. Now, I've got two different options for readings. I will speak to you more about that towards the end of this video. But just for now, is this helpful to you? Does it help you? How do you read the cards? What do you get from it? All right, this is us sharing with each other. Okay, obviously, if you want to, you can always go and take the coaching. I make sure that my coaching is very step by step. I literally have this gift, which I'm very proud of. My best friend pointed it out, that I can present very complex, sort of ideas to people in a very simplified way, so it's easy to get it. So with the hermit energy, where are you holding yourself back? Yes, you need to rest, but do you still need to rest? Because sometimes when we go to the extremes with resting and taking time out, that in itself can become debilitating, toxic to our growth. You know, and that is also sometimes when, let's say you start using a substance to just sort of take yourself out a little bit, that's how it can go to addiction. What is it that you really want? Because behind every addiction, any pain, anything held on to, there's something that you want. And what is that? Let's explore that together, okay? Then we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which a lot of times you'll see T-A-R-O, tarot, which is also tarot. You know, it's a word for the wheel. There's technically 3 wheels happening over here, supported by the forces of the universe. You know, and the idea with these 3 sort of wheels, 1, 2, 3, and you can even see the inner one or there, or you can say 1, 2, 3. You know, multiple wheels, the multiple possibilities of life. You sort of want to be in the middle of this wheel, in the eye of the storm, where you can be aware of what's happening around you, but you don't have to fall into the drama or start living it out as your reality, okay? Also, there's a sense of being safe here. This card normally comes up when people are afraid. It's 10, it's a number of completion, and a lot of times we don't want to let go of something because you're thinking, oh my goodness, I have to embrace something new. What does that mean? What are the challenges coming up? Oh no, let me rather stay here. You know, and then we justify things like, well, at least I have a job, or, at least I know that he or she loves me, or, we've got an understanding, or that sort of thing. Sometimes we justify what we know we need to get away from. This card, you see the snake sort of chasing, almost this character lets you know that you might be experiencing a lot of fear, but you're also divinely supported. Again, there's the Sphinx with sort of like the sword, and swords is a lot about, your mindset and things like that. Is your mindset to your benefit at the moment? All right, what are you thinking of? What are you focusing on? All right. So when the Wheel of Fortune comes in, which is a good like energy, things are slowly but gently shifting in a positive direction for you. But it's almost like, it's that balance between not chasing anything, but also not sort of completely leaning into it, that you're like, okay, I'm not going to do anything at all. I also actually just quickly want to go back. If I show you between the Empress and the Emperor, which is a very divine male and divine feminine, divine male energy, there's actually sort of almost like a river here, which you can't really see so well, but it's almost like the Empress flows into the Emperor energy, so are you in a space of allowing, or are you in a space of resistance? What do you need to do that right now? Then we've got Justice energy. Now you see there's the scales of balance here, but again there's the sword, your thoughts, your mind, your lessons, maybe some unrevealed things at the back here. You see the beautiful golden, but there's the red, the scariness. This character is sitting on what appears to be like a very solid stone, marble sort of structure, which your tarot is also about stability. But it could also be that you've been somewhere in a space, in a mindset for a while. So the Justice energy is also asking you, this problem that you are having, could you be having it because you haven't let go when you should have let go, when you should have released, Also, Justice energy is the energy that lets you know that things are working out in your favor, but it is encouraging you to not be so set to what that initial favor should be, because there is new and better serving available here for you. But as long as you're holding on to the past, that that curtain has to stay in place. So are you maybe willing to take a bit of a risk? The Hanged Man is hanging from the Tree of Life. Now, tarot cards are a pictorial depiction of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which has got those 10 little circles, which you call sephiros. Like if you study Kabbalah, then it really goes into that. And I really, really covered this in broken down detail, step by step, in my advanced tarot reading course, okay, which is really amazing. But this character has got some stress, but this character is also in the reminder that he or she is not alone. There's the gray hair once again, which signifies wisdom. The sunlight behind you, so down into your feet. So that's almost like when you ground yourself in the knowing that even though you don't know the solution, when your soul came here, it knew that you're going to face this, and yet it still came. So you say to your soul, show me. You are willing to see things from a different perspective, out of the norm, out of the unexpected. So that is definitely what the Hangman encourages. And I would usually start off saying this lightly, but it became quite something to look at. Letting God be God, letting the creator source be the creator source. Okay. The Death card is really about rebirth. All right. Remember, in order to be born in one world, you had to die in the other. For a baby to leave the utopia of the womb, which was their old universe, they now have to be born into this new world. And when we pass, death doesn't normally have to do too much with actual death, actual passing. It is more about spiritual ascension. All right, letting go of the old, embracing the new. King is dead, crown is fallen, embracing the new, sun is coming up. There is something beautiful that is looming here for you that you might not be aware of. Or maybe you are resistant to change. So when I do readings for people, I ask them questions. Are you resistant to change? Or I see what comes up for me. I would typically get a smell of something. So I draw the Death card and I smell a rose, and I'll be like, this maybe smells to me like a rosebud, but maybe something that's very new, that is maybe growing in an area that's very sort of like, rich in nutrients and moisture in the soil. I will just see what comes up for you. All right. And this character is also on a white horse, which means, white horses are normally support. And, it's really beautiful. There's those pillars at the back, which are speaking about stability, which are speaking about safety, which are, referring to you about being within a bigger structure, within a bigger framework. I just wanted to show that to you quickly, even here with the Hierophant, even here with the Justice card, even here with the Emperor. You are always reminded that you are within a larger framework of life. All right, that you are never alone, that you can always ask for support, that you can say, show me what is the better way here. All right. Temperance energy. You know, temperance energy typically comes up when we are, should I go this way, should I go that way, what is the safest way, how do I not get hurt? This is typically coming from fear. You know, this is where even with these wings that are red, it's almost like, you know, you are afraid. What if I take to the skies? What if people see that I have wings? You know, and it's more about maintaining your emotions. You know, so this character standing in water, which also represents water is like emotions, and we create through our emotions, because whatever emotion you have is going to determine, you know, how you see life, what your mindset is. It is also going to determine, you know, sort of like which sort of, you know, messages are sent to your brain, which hormones are released, what DNA is unlocked, what your experience of life is. So this is about maintaining your emotions. All right. It's also a reminder, it's a bit of a warning that everything is possible. So if everything is possible, you mind your focus, you heat your focus, and that will determine how you experience life. The devil energy, let's just cover this up a little bit again. So the devil energy, it's actually got like a little block over here, which is the block of, what is it now? Come on. It's going to come to me now. Don't worry. Yeah. Saturn, which is our learning opportunities. What can you learn here? How are you holding yourself back here? How are you limiting yourself here? You know, you will see with this character, it's got a pentagram in reverse, which is very much, you know, the almost like the sign for Satanism. So when we look at a pentagram, you know, with the 5 shapes, you've got the 4 elements at the bottom, and when they are in balance, or when you are in balance with life, with you being a soul on this planet right here, right now, spirit just flows. So this is the energy of where you're holding yourself back. Where are you limiting yourself? You know, with Saturn energy, what are the fears that you have an opportunity to release right now? With this wings and everything looks scary, and this, you know, sort of horns and everything. But what I just want to show to you as well is that, you know, horns upright is normally about embracing your power. So, you know, sometimes in life we look to supposedly bigger characters to tell us what the right way is. But these characters have wings growing out of their heads as well. So it's about embracing your power. Now, the Tower energy, this is the energy that nobody ever likes. People have given the Tower such a bad reputation. But this is about the burning of things that are no longer serving you. This is when we haven't listened for a while. This is, you know, the false sort of hope and false stability that we hold on to life sometimes. And with this character, you know, you will sort of see that there are people burning, falling from it. There's somebody sort of diving down that is saying, well, you know what? I can't stay here. This is no longer working for me. So this is a space where you really want to be gentle and kind with yourself. This is a deep reset. Now, this is usually where people fall off the cart when it comes to healing, because they want it to be pretty. And the bottom line is that as you become out of a space that is not healthy, I always compare it to a fish tank, because I love fish tanks, you know, that when you put in new water, it's all grainy and it looks all dirty. So you need to give the filter sometimes to filter the water so that the purity of it can shine through, you know. So the Tower is also about giving yourself the time, that space, and knowing when to leave, and probably being in a space where you should have left already. All right. The Star energy, Aquarius energy, which is beautiful. It speaks about how you, I should cover that, sorry guys. You know, it speaks about how you can pour your emotions wherever and it will work for you. What is your big dream? What is the little things that you want with it? You know, the Star is all about abundance. It's very much almost like a mirror reflection. When you look into the mirror, what do you see? You know, all that sort of stuff. What are you focusing on? What is the emotion that you are currently, you know, holding on to? Are you being mindful of your emotions? Are you being mindful of what you are focusing on? Or are you doing spiritual bypassing? Okay. What is your focus? What is your dream really? The Star is like, this is what you want. Don't lose sight. You can go for it. It is possible. You know, you've got a bird there that's making a nest in a tree, or chillaxing over there basically. But, you know, A bird doesn't go like, oh my goodness, I don't have a nest. It looks for a suitable tree and then it builds a nest. Okay, so be open to new possibility. The moon card, yes, those two pillars again, stability. And then you've got a crab here coming out of water. Now remember we had the star just before this. Okay, where you are kind of pouring in your emotions into affirmation, what it is that you want. And then, sometimes we've got a way of almost wanting to, it's like almost like the moment you get something, you need to be able to run right now. It's almost like when a baby's not allowed to crawl and fall a little bit. You just have to be able to be born with the capacity to be a marathon runner right now. And that is unrealistic, and that's what we do sometimes in life. And this is even a bit like a sun and a moon together. And this is about finding your feet sometimes, and what is working for you and what isn't working for you. And let your emotions be your guide. And just because you're going through a troubling time at this moment doesn't mean that you are losing out on life. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to find our feet. I'll say to people, what are your darkest thoughts? Okay. I don't really think this baby is that exposed, but the Sun card, which has got the highest, most positive vibration in the tarot deck, and you can see this character sort of carrying this heavy flag or cloth or whatever it is, again on a white horse for support. Maybe not so sure about the support because the horse isn't white, all right? But this is really the things that would have held you back before. You are now in control of those things. They don't hold you back any longer. The things that people could say or people could do. So, for example, when I was very, very young, if anybody even hinted in the direction of anything gay, my heart will just shrivel. But because I have now made peace with my own sexuality and who I am, it doesn't mean I go and throw it in people's faces, but it's no longer this heavy burden that I'm carrying. I know that I'm more than that. The sunflowers is something beautiful about sunflowers is they're always open to the sun. And when there's no sun, they're open to each other. So this is about the power of giving light to each other. You can see even the feather there that the Fool has. This character he's done great on his journey. He's reached a milestone, obviously not gender specific. And the sun is the sun and the moon together. So this character has learned the balance between rest and going for things. All right. And you can be aware of the things that you still have some things to deal with. There might be some things that are holding you back, but it is not the allness of your life of who you are. Okay. Judgment energy. Judgment energy is about moving on. It's about setting yourself free. Remember those red wings that we had there with the Lover's energy, the choice energy? So this is used, maybe still being aware of your fears, but addressing them. It's about to move forward. You need to almost leave the old life behind to go into a new life. So the old life would be all these people in the coffins, the water sort of turbulent. So this is almost, I've got this beautiful coaching, 8 weeks, personal power activation, where, instead of almost groveling for what you want in life, understanding that you're already part of so much more and you can expand to more. There's links for all my beautiful courses down below in the description. You can check it out. Personal readings, all those type of things, the details are there. So now the world energy, I'm going to put it a little like this. All right. And then you can see the face like that. We are sort of decently covered there around the mid-body. You can also Google these cards, obviously. So you will remember with the magician had this one purpose that it came in for, like with the scroll. So there's now a second scroll. You could have gotten more. You're more gentle with yourself in this life, where the magician is very like, okay, I can do it. I must do it. You have now mastered a skill. You are now ready to go to the next level. So you go from the world back into the journey of the Fool. So remember, the Fool was like, I've done this before. I'm familiar with this journey. And it's also got this beautiful sort of like reefs around it, which makes us think of winning and the Olympics and everything that you are part of. So the world is the energy that says to you, let go. But this is when we hold on, because remember, we might have been used to, in our lives, through our generations, this is how we do it. If you use me, for example, Adrian Nelson, that is how the Nelsons do it. That is the illnesses that they usually get. Those are generational beliefs. The world is where you let those things behind, and now you can, with this new scroll, almost say you gained more purpose in this life, something new, something more, something different. Okay. All right, let us go to the minor arcana. We're going to start with wands. So the minor arcana is basically, it's when you look at it, 14 cards each. It's pretty much the same thing from different angles. All right. Wands is about our passion, it's about our drive, it's about our fire, it's about the motivation behind the action, which almost determines the outcome. And aces is like embrace that passion. It might be time for something new. It might be time to contemplate something new. What is that dream that you put on the back burner? A lot of times I find that in readings, when you get the Ace of Wands, it will usually be that people want to go for something, but they've maybe made excuses for so long that they almost don't know how to go. They think they shouldn't have this passion. You can see in the back here, it's almost like maybe like the outline of a castle or something. So there's a big dream, there's a big passion that you want, but you're like, oh my goodness, it's just as a pipe dream, it's just as a pie in the sky. The Ace of Wands encourages you to go for it, okay? The Ace of Wands, sorry, the Ace of Wands. Fire energy. The Two of Wands, it is about holding the world in your hands. This is when there's possibility for change. It encourages you to be open for new, to be open for more. Yes, you've got some things that are stable here, but maybe you want new. There's a desire for new. There's a desire for more. And a lot of times when you say to people, well, why are you unhappy? Because the thing is, when you stop dreaming, you start dying. So you ask the people, why are you unhappy? Why are you feeling stuck? And then, when you listen to them in readings, they will say, well, I've got this and I shouldn't be ungrateful. Okay, but what do you want? Well, I kind of want that, but, and then, that but is usually what's holding you back, because the Two of Wands is the energy. You can keep on doing what you've been doing, no problem. But is it really what you want? Okay. The Three of Wands, 3 again, a number of creation. 2 is a number of things coming together. It's a number of possibilities. And aces there, it's a light spark type of thing. Okay. 3 is a number of potential possibility. You can see a lot of red here, still some fears over here, some ideas of the past. This is stable. This is what you should do. But this carries us also looking out over the waters, looking out at the potential of life, the possibility of life. And you can see there's hope, because there's a little bit of white over there and there's a little bit of a crown on the head. So there's still hope. And this is a card that says to you, when you look into life, yes, you look what you want to the fears, but the more you focus on what it is that you want, and you say to the Creator, show me when and why and how it is possible, you will start seeing it manifesting in your life. So I'll ask clients, so, you want this thing, and so what is the reason? Why do you want it? What is some of the motivation? Have you seen any proof that this is possible for you yet? All right. 4 is a number of stability. This is about emotional stability, the possibilities of it. You can see these two characters are celebrating. So if this is a reading for love that you are doing, it could be a high level commitment, it could be love, it could be engagement, it could be reunion, it could be love working out, it could be stability in business where you start working from passion and not just to make money. And also these characters are celebrating almost like on an open field where you go like, yay, you don't have to hide behind the walls of safety, okay? And if I can just quickly add for you in here, so when we look at the difference between a castle and a palace, a castle is put together, normally have like fortresses and stuff. It is all about safety, where a palace is about living comfortably. So, do you want to celebrate almost like in a limited sense in a castle where you can be attacked, or in a palace where you can just open up and you can go to the shores and the green rolling hills and whatever, and it can just be nice and safe. Okay. The 5 of Wands, 5 normally is indicative of conflict. These 5 characters is indicative of you fighting yourself. So this is when, so I'll ask a client, where in your life are you having problems with your partner, with your children, with your parents, with your neighbors, with your colleagues? Because this is the unresolved things that we are ready to let go of, that we sort of hold on to, typically from fear. And then it starts to mirror reflect it back to us. So the tarot is, it's the reflection of life. It's a mirror reflection of who you are. This is a reminder that the people that you are fighting, so you ask yourself, what is your problem with that person? They are reflecting back to you. So a question that I like to ask people is that this person, if you could make any change about them that will be to their benefit, what will that be? Whatever they say is what they are learning to give to themselves. Okay. Now with the 6 of Wands, people normally call this victory and success in every way, shape and form, which is perfect. Number 6 can also be turned around to become number 9. So, it's the potential for great positive growth. It is getting the rewards. There's that beautiful crown on the head. And this is even maybe, where people have been sneaky maybe before. Truth comes to light. Everybody's to your benefit. And if you look at these cards at the back, this character seems like they're sort of happy for you. And this one seems a bit jealous or envious. But this character is focusing forward. This character knows who they are. So when this card also comes up, sometimes we feel guilty for moving forward. Or maybe, like you get a promotion at work or something, or you move to a different place or a different neighborhood, and you might feel very guilty. But guilt often comes from fear. What are people going to think? Are they still going to be my friend? What if they want to take from me what I have? What if I don't have the sense of community that I had before? So this is growth, but what is the challenges that's coming up with it? Are you comfortable with that? Why are you not comfortable with that? I am not afraid to ask people questions in a reading, because people come to a reading because they want answers, okay? Now, the 7 of Wands, for me, the 7 of Wands is when we fight all these outside forces. We fight all these outside people. You come with all these emotions, and maybe you see the problem with the, sort of like promotion or success that you got now, the winning. So remember, then people often say, I have now done so much work on myself. I got what I wanted. Now, why must I still have more problems? And so this is often the things that we try to sidestep, the things that we don't want to look at, and this is not so much, again, the traditional meanings of the cards. I'm sharing with you what I pick up, okay, more from my point of view, the way I read, and what are also sometimes the things that you might be embarrassed of, ashamed of, what you don't want to come out, what will people think, all that sort of stuff. The 8 of Wands. The 8 of Wands is really one of those energies where we tried a lot of things. We may be trying a lot of things. And I really like the explanation that I got from this. Somebody was like, it's like throwing something against a wall and seeing what sticks. And sometimes that's what we have to do. You try many different things and you see what works. So let's say you're a tarot reader. Maybe you just want to do general readings like I do. Weekly readings on my YouTube channel, so please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when it comes up. I'd really appreciate you liking this video. But so like through many trials and errors, I've tried just general readings, love, money, whatever. And for me, what really works for me is that if I help you to see what is the balance within your soul, because what is your energy, because that determines your whole life experience. Okay. So give things a try. See what works. And if it doesn't work, don't hold on. Okay. The 9 of Wands, if you look at the 8 of Wands, so you've tried a couple of things. You got something that worked, but maybe you got a little bit hurt in the process. This is usually the one thing that we're holding on to. So you can see again here at the bottom, there's abundance, there's gold, is beautiful. But on top, there's red and there's some white underneath, which is beautiful. It's hope, but there's fears. So this character's been hurt, but this character's holding on to something that is not to their benefit. And this is typically the thing that we are ready to move away from, but we hold on to it. It could be self-sabotage. Okay, just get this dry. All right, and then the 10 of Wands. If you look at this character's face, you don't see their face. The way the story goes is that this character actually planted his 10 of Wands, his 10 trees, the forest, whatever, and now they, it's almost like they can't see clearly. All right. It's like, for example, when somebody tries to put a pretty sheen on top of something to convince themselves that it's beautiful, but it's actually not. These are things that you have to work through, you have to let go of. You can see this character, there's like a house over there. So there's dreams, there's desires, there are things you are moving towards, but you're also holding on to things that are not to your benefit, and it's time to let them go. Okay. Page of Wands, what is your dream? What is your hopes? What do you want? You can see there's still the feather there from the Fool. So this is when you want something, you still got that drive, but you don't see how it is possible. It is often a sense of, okay, what do I want and why do I want it and what is the feeling that I want? All right, so instead of looking at everything that doesn't work, everything that can go wrong, what is it that I want? What is it that I want to feel? What is the desire? What is my motivation here? If I can maybe do what I do, for example, I love what I do and I do it from passion, not for money. Because when I did it just for money, it would drain my soul. If I make this video because I want you to watch my video and you like me and share it, I will appreciate those things, by the way. But it's a very different feel to me saying, oh, I want to help you. I just want to share my passion with you. Okay. So what does that mean for you with the Page of Wands? Then you've got the Knight of Wands. So you can see there's a red horse. It's very fiery. You know, this character's got gold and things around him, but it's all armor underneath. Lots of fear, lots of red. You know, there's the pyramids over there. You know, not quite sure how they were created. You're not sure how the problems came about. Knights is always saying to you, want to be careful of not getting yourself in a hot spot here. Okay. What is working? What isn't working? What are you motivated by? Are you motivated by fear? Are you motivated by ego? What is going on here? It's time to get some perspective. Now, the Queen of Wands, quite interesting. It's got like a little black cat over there. And obviously, black cat has always been seen as, you know, almost like a little bit of like a freakiness, you know, like maybe bad luck back in the day. But also a black cat is often seen as protection, you know. So this is a card of saying that you are protected in following your vision, in following your dream. And yes, you've got it within you. You're sitting on the seat, everything around you. But there's the fears inside. But what is it that you want? What is it that you want to pursue? Who do you want to be? You know, pursue that. Pursue what you want. And then the King of Wands is really about, you know, being true to yourself. What is working for you? It's almost kind of like if you look at the stable structure there, and then, you know, there's almost like sort of like red there at the bottom, you know. Be aware of what's going on in the world, but there's also a reminder that, you know, people have this idea that in order to be really spiritual or pure or good of heart, you have to almost suffer with people. Then it becomes a situation of two blind people leading each other across the highway. So who are you? Be proud of who you are. Be acknowledging of what it is that you still need to deal with, but don't shoot yourself down. Okay. Let's just quickly see. So Cups. So Cups is very much about emotions, and also, you know, our relationships with others around us, humans, animals, plants, dogs, you know, breathe and have a mind of their own. So the Ace of Cups, this is an energy that says, like, you know, your soul is ready for more, that your cup can flow over. It's almost like, you know, somebody once explained it to, or like, you know, had the insight that it is your soul is ready for more. Your soul is asking for more. What is your higher purpose? And your guideline here, your north will be, when I make this decision, when I make this choice, when I ponder this thought, when I go through with this, does this support peace or does this support the opposite of peace? Okay. But you are ready for something beautiful here, and have faith in your soul plan, in your life plan. Okay. With the Two of Cups coming together, you know, and this is quite beautiful here. You know, these characters are almost, it seems like almost like they come from two different standpoints or backgrounds or things like that. And, you know, this is also something that encourages you to not be too set on your own point, to be open to another person's idea, that their vision of something might be different to yours. How can we work together? How can we help each other? How can we support each other? Just because somebody doesn't see something the same way that you does doesn't mean that they are negative. You know, there's a lot of healing that comes in with this. This is quite beautiful, this energy. You know, maybe you're sharing a common vision, a common goal, this house in the background, you know. So what is it that we need to do together to achieve this common goal? Okay. With the Three of Cups, again, energy of creation. This is help coming in. This is support coming in. You know, this could even be the different versions of yourself. What are you, you know, busy celebrating? You don't have to worry. Maybe you don't have to be scared about life. There's the cautious part. There's the free part. You know, originally or traditionally, this is a card of friends becoming family, soul family coming in. But are you allowing that? Are you trusting of people coming in? Are you open to the idea that people can have good intentions for you? Okay. And are you open to the idea of being supported through the challenges that you are going through? A lot of times in life, when we need the support of others the most is when we sort of push it away the most. So what is the fear of letting people in? Well, again, why do you want to be the person who goes and lives on the mountaintop type of thing? All right. The thing is about trust. And if we don't trust ourselves, you can't trust life, you can't trust others, you can't trust God, you can't, because you are one and part of all there is. You are distrusting a part of creation. Okay. Now, the Four of Cups is always so interesting. You know, people would typically say it's about letting in new, it's about letting in more. And if you look at it, You know, almost like with this cups card. Again, it's like something coming in, a divine blessing, something unexpected. But, you know, this character is like, listen, I've got what I want. I know what I want. I'm chilled. Don't worry. I'm good. But be open to new ideas. Be open to new possibilities. Are you open to unexpected blessings? You know, it's one of those things in life that you can ask people because, you know, and you will hear people's beliefs when they speak to you. So it's good to let people speak sometimes, you know, and sometimes we just need to say something happened to me and it's not cool. But, you know, a lot of times in life we, you know, will say, okay, but this is what I have. I know this. I'm okay with this. You know, I'm all right with this. That is actually saying, no, I don't want new. Okay. So you can be okay with what you have and you can be open to new. All right. And if they say, okay, what are you not? Okay, why is that? Then the Five of Cups, this is typically, you know, in readings, people will speak about being focused on the past, not seeing what's in the present. You know, this is like, it's almost like those dreams in life that we lose. You want to go to that bridge, but you can't get over it. The water's in your way. This is the castle, the safety, the home that you want to go to. Sorry. But in life, if you only focus on what isn't working and what didn't work in the past, you will just get more of that. And then we don't see the opportunities, the people with good intentions, our own potential that is presented right there. So it encourages a shift in focus. You know, what are the fears? What are you afraid of happening again? Then we got the Six of Cups. So this is quite beautiful. This card, as you can see, it's almost like an older female version. So divine feminine with the heart emotions, really. It's very symbolic. Kind of giving to a previous version, to a younger child. But you can see this child basically has white hair, which is, you know, indicative of wisdom. All right. So this is very much inner child healing, you know, from the fearful version of the past. What do you, or from where you are now, what do you need to give to the small child? What does this child need, you know, in order to feel safe? And you can see it's almost like there are guards over here, you know, that is keeping in this courtyard, is keeping this child, or those two versions of the same person, or the older adult giving some time to the younger adult, you know, keeping them safe. So it is safe for you to contemplate, what did you need? Did you feel secure in life growing up with your parents, your mother, your emotions? You know, let's look at that. It's time to heal that. You can see even this symbol over here on this pillar. It looks almost like a shield. You are safe. You can look at this now. Okay. So the Seven of Cups, this is the energy of seeing a lot of dread. So as you can see, even this character is all black, no color. It lets you know that life has many, many different potentials. You know, but we always look on what do we don't know, what can go wrong. You know, this is when you have a problem with every solution. You know, all that glitters isn't gold. But you've got all these different clouds over there, which is dreams, possibilities, potential. So this is a card that is asking you, are you focusing on what isn't working, which is this, or are you focusing on what could possibly work? Okay. Now, the Eight of Cups is the energy of going towards more. This is about shifting, change. You can also see that this moon is simultaneously full as well as a little new moon over there. So this is about going for what you know is to your benefit, moving forward in peace there with that white one. Now, a lot of times people will say this is about leaving behind, let them go, all that sort of stuff. And yes, you can let people go, but the energy with which you let go determines the outcome. If you leave or you make your decisions from anger, you know, and spite, then that is what you're going to get. So the Eight of Cups is about realizing that you have outgrown a space and that you can move forward without unnecessary controversy. All right. The Nine of Cups is about wish fulfillment. So what do you want? You know, and somebody actually pointed out that this character is a little bit chubby, you know, and back in ancient times, if you were wealthy, then you were usually chubby. And you can be more chubby and you can have more. So what is it that you want? Life has got so many possibilities for you. What is it that you want? And when you say what you want, yes, you're going to have some fears, but then let's work on those fears. Okay. Ten of Cups, this is a happy family life, happy community. You can see there's like a home space over there. But these characters are almost standing on the outside of it, you know, supporting each other. There's children happy dancing. So what is it that you want? And this card is also speaking, remember, Cups is emotions. What is it that you need to envision what you want? What is the feeling that you want once you got what you want? That's it. What is the feeling? Manifest from the feeling, from the feel-good feeling, you know, and it's like dream big. See what you want and dream big. Don't just say, oh, I shouldn't this and I shouldn't that. Okay. Sometimes people say, oh, I can never do that. that sort of thing, where the Ten of Cups says to you, but what if you could? Okay. The Page of Cups, it's, the water's a little bit stormy at the back there. This character's dressed in a lot of red, even though there's some green and things on top. This could even be that you are pretending everything is okay. Where are you pretending things are okay? Where are you just focusing on the cup? Why is there a fish in your cup? Isn't even a fish, Is it there? Is it your imagination? What do you want to feel like? If you can pull a rabbit out of a hat that will make you happy, what will that be for you? It's about contemplating that. It's about the feeling. Now, when we look at the Knight of Cups, especially when you look at love or a dream coming true, what is it that you truly, truly want? Because you can see this character, there's a bit of red there, which is a bit of concern. So this character's in a golden space, which is good. There's a river flowing with emotions and going to bad. So the red, which is a bit of a warning, it's a bit of fear. Are you truly heading in the best positive direction? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being, honest about your intentions? Are you really coming from a pure heart? Okay? Or are you saying, well, casualties of war type of thing? Then the Queen of Cups, this is quite beautiful. You can see that this Queen is about your hard work paying off. This Queen is very much at peace. This Queen is focusing on what is around her, what her focus is. She's got beautiful angels with her, letting you know that life is supporting you. And yes, the water around is a bit tumultuous. There's a big rock at the back there, so we don't know if this is behind her. But this Queen is focusing on what is working here and now. And you see it's almost like a little character here in the chair that goes like, yay, life is supporting you on. Focus on what you want. Focus on the end goal. The more you focus on the end goal with love and peace and lightness, the more the solution will come to you. And then the King of Cups, this character has reached his goal. And it reminds us almost a little bit now. I've got the cards all over me, so I don't know if I'm going to find it now. But it almost reminds us a little bit of there we go, the Emperor sitting on its chair. Remember, come on. All right, so that little thing over there, now you've got a cup. You know what you're one and part of. Now you've got money, now you've got even a bigger cup. So what are you going to fill your cup with now? What are you going to focus on? You are on the space of stability to create something, even though around you might not have all that certainty, you might have some fears. This character is looking up and forward, instead of looking at the challenges around him. What are you focusing on? Okay. And then we've got Swords. Swords is about mindset, it's about thoughts, it's about focus, it's about lessons that you learn. It is about overcoming things. Okay. So, sorry. So with Swords, Ace there. Ace of Swords is about making a choice. Ace of Swords is a beautiful energy because, again, it's almost like an epiphany. It's a dream. It can be a vision, a realization. It's letting you know that anything is possible here for you. Absolutely anything. You win either way, but you need to make a choice. A lot of times in life, the reason why we don't win, why we always end up with little flippity-floppity things, is because we don't have that definitive, decisive choice, decision. Okay. Two of Swords, you can say there's a new beginning here, new beginnings, and the Two of Swords is one of those energies where you might be dealing with very big things, dangerous things, big decisions, big potentials, all that sort of things. It can really go either way, but you might not be so aware of your emotions. Are you turning a blind eye? Did you blindfold yourself? Because as you can see, this character, there's nothing holding this character back. So are you turning a blind eye to life? Are you making decisions from your head and not from your emotions? Do you have this false sense of peace here? What is going on here? Okay. Three of Swords is a card that a lot of people misinterpret. Three of Swords, just very briefly, it's about, silver linings. If you're looking for a silver lining, go look in the mirror, it is you. But this is speaking about you being ready for the next level. It doesn't mean that you stop having problems or you stop having challenges or maybe life stops being difficult. But who you are and what you believe about yourself and what you are one and part of is going to determine how you experience life. So if you believe that everybody's got it out for you, that's going to be your experience. And if you come from the idea of it doesn't even matter if people have it out for me because I know who I'm one and part of, people will maybe try to have it out for you, but they won't succeed. Okay? The Four of Swords is about being ready to go to the next level. You can see there's almost like untapped potential here, because now with the Three of Swords, you know who you are. It's almost like holy or serene in a space. Put up there, you look at that, you know, it's like people say, okay, that's cool. Now you've reached that, you've achieved that. And sometimes we hold on to that. Okay. We're like, okay, well, I achieved something now. Let me stay here. But you know, it is about letting you know that life is an ongoing process. You know, there's almost like a baptism or something happening over here in that mosaic glass, you know, which also reminds you that it's almost like you are being initiated into something new, into something more, you know, like almost like immortalized. But if you think about it, the moment you immortalize someone, you almost give them this bigger status of life. All right. But when you hold on to that, that's when you fall behind. Okay. Because usually when you immortalize, you move on. Now, Five of Swords is such an interesting card. A lot of people say that these three characters are the same character in different phases. When you felt like, oh my goodness, don't know what to do, to maybe seeing a different solution, stepping back to saying, okay, well, let me see what I can do here. Okay, so these are different options, different opportunities, different ways of doing things. How do you want to do them? How do you want to tackle the situation? Do you want to lose hope? Do you want to be like, oh my goodness, nothing ever works out for me? Do you want to see what could be the possibilities here? Are you just going to give up and cry? Are you going to maybe take a little bit of a backseat and say, okay, let's look at this from a different angle? Are you going to say, okay, let's cut all these people? You know, like, where are you going to come from? This is reminding you that, you know, it's almost like, I suppose you can almost say it's like a test of life. This is life is happening, which is always going to happen, but how is it affecting you? Okay. Six of Swords for me is always about accepting help. So you can see the waters are very turbulent over there. It's very clear over there, but we don't even know. Maybe this is a wall. All right. But you can see this characters here. You can even think of it maybe as a woman and a child that is, they've got nothing else left in life. They're leaving with the clothes on their back, and you are trusting someone else to guide you into safety. So sometimes, you know, in life, when we feel very alone, very without choice, very cornered, a question would be, are you letting people help you? Are you letting life help you? You know, are you one of those people that are happy to give but don't want to receive? And when you think about it, if you breathe in, it's you receiving. And if you breathe out, that is you giving. But if you keep on giving and you never take a breath in again, you're not going to stay alive for very long, you know. And this is something that you are reminded of. Ow. This is Bruno, everybody. Okay. And then the Seven of Swords, this is quite an interesting one. A lot of people describe this as being sneaky, trying to get away with things. But this is also reminding you that you can't really get away from yourself. Okay. You can't really escape yourself. Okay. So, you know, let's be honest with ourselves. How are you really feeling? How are you really doing right now? You know, and this is a card also that if you look at the back there, there's those tents and things. Maybe you put a bit of things in place for you to go and follow and pursue your dream. But how do you feel about that? Are you feeling guilty? Are you saying, okay, I'm fulfilling my responsibilities, but I'm actually not? All right. How are you fooling yourself here? What are you reasoning yourself out of? Like, it's like one of the things in life that when we need to motivate so strongly why we are doing what we are doing, and we need to justify it so much, the question is, should you be doing this? All right. The Eight of Wands, you can see there's a big castle at the back. There's a little drizzle of water. This character's all tied up. There's swords around. So first of all, are you overthinking this thing? Are you making it bigger than it has to be? What kind of emotions are you tapping into? Is there a better emotion that you can tap into? You know, are you overreacting right now, and why? Because when we overreact, we want something. Maybe we want attention. Maybe we want to seem important. You know, maybe we want support. It's letting you know that there could be a gentler way of moving around here. If you just gently move from one side to the other side, you know, you might get a little cut, but at least you can open things more. You know, you can have more choice. You can look around you. Are your hands even really tied? Because we don't know. Is this person as tight as they are? You know? Are you where you should be? Do you belong where you are? The Nine of Swords, this is about needing to process emotions, needing to get clear about things. If you look at this bottom, almost like carved in this wood here, there is like one character that is sort of like attacked by another character with a sword. And then there's also little butterflies on this. So you can choose to embrace the comfort, the peace of the butterflies, the beauty. Are you being chased? Is there something going on? Are you holding a secret? What are you holding on to? Are you being transparent? Something needs to come to light here. All right? There's no point in suffering alone. Why are you suffering alone? Okay? And then the Ten of Swords is a very interesting card. Now, with the original sort of design of this card, this swords was actually almost like a little bit away from this character. And this is indicating that you need to let go of something and it's not going to kill you, even though it might. This could be you giving up your stability, your security, the way that you thought life is going to be. So the Ten of Swords is an energy that is encouraging you to see, are you really coming from the best point? Okay? Or can you maybe do things a little bit differently? Is this a necessary release? Because you can see everything else looks quite beautiful. All right? So this is the death of the old version to make space for the new that you are ready for. Page of Swords, lots of thoughts here, lots of clouds. All right? What are you heating your focus to once again? So you can see the sword goes to one way, but the face looks in the other direction, and also the leg to the back, which is almost sort of red, which can be indicative of fear. Everything that is sort of dark is looking, to the back, to the past. So are you forging forward from past things? Where's your focus? Are you trying to get even? Are you trying to get revenge? What is your motivation? Are you trying to become successful so you can show others? That is guaranteed to get you in a space that you're not going to like. All right. Knight of Swords, fastest moving energy in the tarot deck, forging forward, all in armor. Everything red around it. Are you fighting the best fight here? What you are focusing on, what you are fighting, who you are fighting, in your thoughts, in physicality. Is this really the best way for you? You are most likely using your ability to manifest in a direction that is not to your benefit. Are you coming from pain? Are you coming from fear? All right. The Queen of Swords, also really, really beautiful. Even though everything looks a little dark, you can see there's like an angel in a chair. She's focusing forward. She's got a sword forward. She's got a hand forward. There is some fear, but she's focusing in the direction that is probably to her benefit. So because when we look at the past, you don't see the fearful things in the front. So you don't see the people coming to attack. Okay? Then you feel like a victim. But if you focus forward, you can be clear and sober about where you are and what's going on. And the King of Swords, it is about, claiming your mindset, owning your mindset, being who you are. You can see the back of the chair there that was red. Sometimes it's now light, it's now white. It is about self-acceptance. It is not about being without problems, but you can see there's a red at the feet, there's red around the cloak. But on the inside, this king is, divine male energy, it's white. It's got a crown. It's got a focus. It may not know exactly what to do, but it is present in the moment here and now, So I will ask a client, are you sober in where you are right now? It's like a client that I had that wanted to do this and that in a year. And I said, well, but let's look at this now. At this moment, you need to survive because I'm doing a reading for you and you're sitting in your car and you are piggybacking, Wi-Fi from a franchise store, which is really meant for clients. So are you focusing on what you need to focus? It's very much the King of Swords. Okay. And then we have Pentacles, which is about coin, money, the things that money can buy, the soul having a human experience. Ace of Pentacles is about a grand opportunity. You can go through a new gateway, so more often than not, it's not money, but it can be. It could be a windfall. But this is your soul that is saying to you, the desire. And sometimes we feel stuck in that point. What is it that you need next? So I will ask the client, if you are feeling stuck, have you maybe paused down? Have you slowed down? What are you trying to make work which isn't working? What is it that you would like to do? So to give you an example, yesterday morning, I was sitting here at my house and I was going to have a client and then the client had his children. So I couldn't have the client and I was just playing with my PC. And then I got this beautiful sister deck to the Breath of Life Tarot Oracles that came out. And it just flowed out of me because in that moment, I was just sitting with my coffee, with my dog, fountain on, breathing, looking at a fish tank, not thinking about anything. So, when we have those experiences of right time, right place, right thing, wrong time, that sort of thing, then usually it is because we've got dual focus within us. So life is saying to you, great things are possible, but what do you need to do to become in alignment with it? Okay. Two of Pentacles. This is, and there's little boats on the back and everything is juice. And this could be because you can see there's characters on solid ground, So, maybe you are ready for abundance with these beautiful green shoes and you are juggling these little things. And maybe for a time you need to juggle things, or maybe you need to focus on one thing and then focus on the other thing. Are you overwhelming yourself? Are you overexerting yourself? If this is maybe like a love reading, are you the person that always provides? Or, if you are always having provided, do you feel that you're taken advantage of? Sometimes we've got very generational ideas, maybe especially with the ladies, that, the man should take care of them, all sorts of things like that. So what are you trying to juggle? Is this the best thing to do? Maybe for a while you need to juggle things a little bit, but what is the end goal here? And how long have you been doing this? All right. With the Three of Pentacles, this is about taking a look at things in a different way, maybe dancing with your fears. So what if your fears could work to your benefit along with your hope and your light? Maybe take a little bit more of a playful approach to life. What is it that you want? What is it that you need? What is it that you truly, truly desire? And are you willing to go for it despite your fears? Okay. And why are you willing to go for it? Which can be a good or a bad thing. Four of Pentacles, this is all about stability, the 2 feet here on stable ground, city at the back. This is about being very safe. This is about no matter what you face, you are all right. I always like to describe this card as, if you are coming from your head, just make sure that you include your heart as well, and vice versa. If you come from your heart, maybe come from your head as well. But it is about stability, and it is about embracing your dream. Okay. Now the Five of Pentacles, this is typically energy of being left out in the cold, but you can see this is almost like a cathedral outside, So are you going to go inside of the cathedral to maybe get safety from the storm, to maybe get some help? Are you open to asking for help? Are you still pursuing someone that you feel like they must know how I felt? Or are you trying to keep someone or something, a situation, energy in your life that is not to your benefit? Okay. So what is the opportunity of the challenge here? And then with the Six of Pentacles, for me, this is always like, who are you giving your coin to? Who are you giving your attention to? Are you being fair to yourself? This could maybe be the light version of you. This could be the darker version of you. And yes, we want to feed our light version. But if you completely neglect your dark version, the part of you that needs healing and stuff like that, there's bound to be a problem. All right. There's also a building at the back. Are you holding on to things that are maybe not for your benefit? Or should you maybe be a little bit more lenient with yourself? Okay. The Seven of Pentacles, the idea here is that this character has already planted all these things. They're all growing. And then, sometimes we get a little bit despondent. I'm not even going to try again. What if it doesn't work out? What is your motivation? When you planted things before, what was your motivation? A lot of times we want to be successful, we want to get the right partner, the right home, car, education, whatever, because we want to show someone else. And then when it comes to really embracing our dream or taking that next step or taking that next necessary step or doing what you're supposed to do, you're like, oh, I don't even know if I want to do this. Okay. And then we've got the Eight of Pentacles. This character has pretty much done everything and it's almost done. All right. So, might you be overthinking things here? What are the base fears that you may not have addressed? How is your back doing? Are you all right? Are you ready to show what you have? Are you maybe getting so into your work that you exclude some other things that you need to do? Nine of Pentacles is always known as it's a card of positivity, the entrepreneurship card, it's often called. There's a little bird there that is happy, and you can see again, there's the red insides of the sleeves, the same as the Fool, which and a heavy garment that this character's carrying with pride, and lightly having their hand there on a pentacle. This is about knowing that no situation in life is lasting forever. Any challenge that you come across, it can actually be the opportunity to go forward, And if I can give you an example of that, a couple of years ago when I was living in Cape Town, where I still had to do readings for people, my computer crashed. Now I could refund these people, but then I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. So I would always look at, if I can find a solution for myself, is there a way that maybe other people can benefit as well? And that is how a lot of my coaching came about. If you look at the coaching, first couple of lessons are free. You can see if it is for you, psychic development, all that beautiful stuff. So I said, okay, I can pre-record a reading for you. And everybody was like, yes. And then interesting enough, that became one of the ways that I prefer to do readings for people. Okay. So what is the opportunity of the challenge? Don't fall for the idea that your life is just this one moment. It's bigger than this one moment. And then we've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is all about beautiful things, happy things, wonderful things. And it is said that this character with wisdom here is here to almost like look from the background. Could be an ancestor looking with pride. It could also be somebody that might have a bit of a sneaky intention. Yeah, with 10s, there could always be a bit of a sneaky intention. But, it's about holding the focus. And maybe when things are going well in life, don't stop doing the things that are going well. How did you get to where you got? Maybe you've done daily meditation, you've done journaling. Keep on doing that, all right? So that you can maintain the vibration. And a wonderful way is to teach others. The Page of Pentacles is quite beautiful. What is it that you dream of? What do you want it to be? How do you feel? What is your big dream, your big vision, your big goal? Think about it, okay? Contemplate it. And then the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that is not moving in the tarot deck. Again, there's all of the armor. Maybe this horse is suffering because remember what a white horse is support, but the black horse, it could be heavier. We won't even see if this horse is having challenges. What could this cloth be having up? Are you putting your burdens on life in other people? Are you looking towards the future and you say, oh my goodness, it's bad? Are you trying to buy yourself out of them? Have you maybe become a little bit egotistical now that you've grown in life? Look at those things, all right? The Knight of Pentacles is asking for, if you're feeling overwhelmed and drained, did you maybe start believing that you are better than anything and anyone else? Okay. The Queen of Pentacles is focusing on what she needs to do. There might be stress, feeling the stress of life, but in the inside there's peace. There's a stability of knowing who I am. Looking into life and seeing problems here and there, but also seeing beauty. All right. And then the King of Pentacles is about just getting into a space where you claim all of who you are. You say, yes, I choose to be happy. I choose to be abundant. It doesn't mean that there's an absence of fear, but it's not my boss. Okay. So those are basically, that is basically everything that I have for you. I hope that it helps. Now, let me tell you how I would normally, when I do a reading, I just wanted to share it with you for those of you that might benefit from it, or you might want to book it. The details are in the description anyways. But, for me, I will obviously do either in-person readings, which I really, really like, or like a video call or an audio call. I trust my intuition, all right? Remember, a lot of these descriptions I gave you in this cards is more the way that I said. Now, maybe you want me to make a video where I do a bit more of it can almost be like a summary of the step-by-step tarot reading course that I have, where I will explain to you, like the more traditional meanings of the cards. So if that's what you want, let me know. Let me know where in the world you are connecting from. Do you prefer tarot? Do you prefer oracle? What do you work with? Runes? I Ching? What is your vibe? I'm very interested to know. Some people read with the crystals. I really love it. And then I also do a pre-recorded reading. And it's quite interesting because I trust that whatever I get is what I'm meant to get. So, and when I do a pre-recorded reading for someone, a lot of times I will ask you, give me 5 things you want me to focus on. Direct questions. And we look at it at the end of the reading. But I predominantly look at what is your energy and how is it playing out in your life. And you will sometimes see that these 5 different problems that you have are all stemming from the same problem. It's an expression of the same thing. All right. So pre-recorded normally about 90 minutes. Obviously going into future, it might change. So if you want something, you can always contact me. And then usually a video call or in-person reading can be up to 2 hours. We really explore it. It's a lot of fun to me. But let me know, how you feel about this. Does it resonate? Is it helpful? Do you want me to make a video of just the more traditional general meanings? But thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next time. Bye.